Alright, so Xmas Bash was an absolute blast. I had such a great time. The car went awesomely until sort of the very end. And I think it might have been a fuel starvation from fuel surge just in the tank, sort of running a little bit lower anyway. It was really hot out there. Managed to get it home. Aside from the nasty exhaust leaks, I showed you that pipe if you saw the last video. If you didn't see it, go check it out. It's the Xmas Bash video. Where basically I wasn't off to a good start and the exhaust had already broken. So what I'm going to do while it's still hot, I've babied it home with a massive exhaust leak and the exhaust sort of vibrating on the sway bar. I had a little piece of rubber that I jammed in there and zip tied it and sort of tied the exhaust up so it wouldn't vibrate metal to metal. Seemed to do the trick somewhat. I don't even know if that rubber has fallen out. I'm not going to look at the exhaust now, but I just want a bit of peace of mind with the motor. I don't know, maybe I might have run lean, I'm not too sure. Just for peace of mind, I'm going to recheck the compression and see what those numbers are, because it's sort of lacking a bit of oomph. Anyway, let's go. I'll check it out and I'll let you guys know what the results are and where we are at. I'm just going to remove the front strut brace, remove the coils, remove the fuel pump fuse, remove the spark plugs, have a look, take a visual check of the spark plugs, keeping them in order 1 to 4, just so I got an idea, reference point. We're looking for any abnormalities, and we'll do the compression check again while it's warm. This is what number 1 spark plug looks like. It is a bit on the white side. If it was rich, it would be black, but this is new fuel for me. I've not run E85 before, so that could be normal. Alright guys, that's first cylinder, number 1, looking actually pretty good, not too bad. But yeah guys, it only takes 1 cylinder to affect the whole operation of the motor. Let's check out all the rest. Okay guys, so that's about 130, cylinder number 2. 2 more cylinders to go. Looking good. Number 3, 135. So far within 10 psi of each other, but we have one last cylinder to test. And there we go guys. Cylinder number 4. Looking alright. So look, I'm happy about that. I'm actually really relieved that the compression is pretty much the same as when I tested it, and within that like 10 psi, pretty much even across, like 5 to 10 psi difference. That's a big relief because, man, I would not want to have to pull this motor after only 1 year. It's served me well so far, but I don't want to have to pull the motor anytime soon. So yeah, I'm gonna have to test this once the exhaust is fixed. Maybe it's all it is just sort of a mental sort of thing with like the vibrations on the exhaust and it just feeling really bad. And once I fix the exhaust, I'll have to weld it up with the welder. I'll weld that up and fix it. We'll then test it. But I do want to drain the oil and check the oil, but I'll do that another day. So I'll try new plugs as well. So these plugs are quite white. I'm going to have to talk to my tuner again, send him some photos of the plugs and just see what he thinks. Maybe it's running a bit too lean. I'm only guessing. Or the other thing I can think of, maybe I'm getting like a bit of valve float. I'm just guessing again. Maybe the springs aren't good enough. The valve train gear, maybe. I'm just guessing. Okay guys, so I got the exhaust. I told you about how I broke the exhaust. You might have seen in my last video, I broke the exhaust and it split right here. Now I've gone my first welds with the TIG. I've got so much to learn when it comes to welding. Obviously, clearly I cannot weld, but anyway, we're gonna just work on that. You can see it's a very poor weld, but there's enough of it there, it's gonna do the job. I'll grind that big dag off so it just looks a little bit neater, but anyway, it's rough as, but it's gonna do the job. So that's all ready to go back on now. The exhaust is fixed, and now comes the job of resealing the exhaust. So I'll show you guys what I've been up to under here. I've just cleaned up that exhaust flange, and I need to do that for all flanges before I can reseal this exhaust properly. Down the end there, I've got that one to do. I need to clean up that flange, and then that'll be good to reseal. I can possibly reuse that gasket that hasn't split on me, and it's a fairly new one. I've actually taken off the sway bar as well, just because I wanted to check clearances for the exhaust, but we'll get the pipe back on, fitted, resealed, and she should be good to go. Bit rough, I know, but it will do the job, and we'll be able to get out there and go drifting again once more. I've had to remove all the scungy gasket from this flange for the rear muffler. That's all cleaned up, ready to go now. As you can see, all the crustiness of the old gasket. These flanges are nicely cleaned up now. And yeah, don't mind my dodgy welding. Look guys, I'm learning. It's horrendous, I know, but to get back out there and drift again, it's necessary. Did it myself. You could pay someone, but I'm a budget drifter. You gotta do what you need to do, right? That's all nicely cleaned up, and I actually took a bit of the edge of the pipe off. Grinded that nice and flat, so it's nice and flush now. Just sort of cleaning up other people's sort of work where they should have just paid a little bit more attention to detail. Anyway, I can't talk. I mean, look at these welds compared to mine, hey? I'm not even going to show you. While I was in here, I thought I'd go ahead and place the sway bar bushes, just the link rod bushes with some nolethane, and sort of just makes sense. It's a little bit of preventative maintenance. You know, why not? You know, the old ones were, well, 20 plus years old. So, sway bar's all in now. Rear sway bar's all in now. Now, we can go ahead and refit the exhaust, and we'll be good to go, hopefully. I've got new bolts, new nuts, and new washers, and 2 new gaskets, plus I've got up here, I'll use some of this special stuff. The Ultra Copper Permatex is like the best stuff you can use for exhaust gaskets, sealing up those exhaust gaskets. So I'm going to use those, and we should be good to go. I'll just clean each flange with a little bit of brake cleaner before the new gaskets go on with the new sealant. And I've just cleaned this up a bit because I didn't want it to be such an eyesore. You know what I mean. It looks a little bit better now. So all ready to go back together. The exhaust is all nicely resealed now. That flange is all done up nicely. We've got the other flange down there. The exhaust is all nicely sealed at the cap now at that flange with new bolts, new washers, new nuts. And as you can see, there's not much clearance at all. There's literally probably about, well, there's about 8 mil of clearance between the prop shaft bracket there. It's quite a tight fit, but it works. It works as long as the exhaust doesn't break. And then down here, we've got the weld, which I've cleaned up. It's not the best, but it's functional. It will work for the time being. And you can see how much clearance. We don't actually have much clearance at all between the sway bar. There's like literally probably a centimetre, about 10 to 12 mil. So it's a very fine fitting, tight fitting exhaust here that we've got. Anyway guys, so that's it. Exhaust is fitted, one step closer to having this back ready to rip. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up if you don't know. With the exhaust gaskets, they quite often blow out. These aren't the best ones here, so I got the old gasket. But here, I'll just show you. These gaskets have like what's called like a fire ring. And the other gaskets that you want at least to have that fire ring on the inside. Also, when it comes to actually doing the fixtures up, the bolts up and the nuts, you want to choose nuts that have like a pinched end. These are proper exhaust manifold nuts. They actually have a pinched end. They're actually copper. Got some big washers as well. They're common with the S chassis. The SR vibrates a lot, and you quite often with drifting, your bolts come loose on the exhaust. I've had several bolts and nuts come loose, so I've switched over to these and I haven't had a problem yet. Ideally, guys, V-band is pretty much king. If you can, get a V-band made custom exhaust and you won't look back, but this is what I'm dealing with at the moment and seems to do the job. That sealant that I showed you guys earlier is the best sealant you can get for your exhausts. The Permatex copper exhaust sealant is the best. Just trust me, I've tried the others. It's the best. You do need to leave it overnight though, it does say. Anyway guys, hope that helps you out. Lastly, before we can start the car, I've got one spark plug here left. I thought I'd just show you guys. I've done this in another video, but we're going to gap this spark plug down to 0.7 of a mil. These are just copper plugs. I like to run copper plugs and I change them more frequently. This BCPR7ES for the SR20. Standards are 6, so that number there, 7, that's refers to the rating. It's a colder plug, this one. It's just one up. It's a bit of a colder plug. I gap them down to about between 0.6 to 0.7, but I shoot for 0.7. Here I've got my handy snap-on tool. There's a few different tools you can get, but essentially this one is in inches. For the metric guys like me, it's in millimeters. Basically you just slide this in, slide it up the scale until you get to your desired gap. So if the gap's too large, I'll just carefully give it a bang down. I'll bang the tip of the spark plug down the electrode until I get to the desired gap. Kind of hard doing this one-handed, but anyway, I just want to show you guys. That's about 0.7. I already gapped this plug, but you just slide it up until you get the gap that you desire with that tool. There's a few different tools out there you can use. I'm going to chuck it back in and we should be just about ready to start this thing back up. Guys, so there we have it. Car's running. Exhaust is just purring along really nicely. No exhaust leaks. Thank goodness. So we are good to go drifting again once more. Thumbs up. Anyway, thanks for checking out this video. Sorry about all my sweat. It's summer here in Australia. I've just gotten back and the motor's still hot. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Stick around for more videos to come. Subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.